Hello, it's Monday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Muriah Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. Hi, Tokwe, how are you?
Good morning. I'm
like
good.
Our new sets.
Amazing morning. Amazing morning. I'm grateful to God. It's been a very busy few days, but apparently, taking hailing cabs is actually very expensive.
Taking what?
Hailing cabs.
Okay.
I didn't want to name any brand.
Okay.
So when you use hailing cabs app, you are spending a whole lot more. And as a business owner, I've not factored it in. So what I realize now is almost every service I do, I'm losing almost 40% profit of the entire money on transportation. 20K, and I spent like I spent 7,500 naira on transportation. Like there's no way you can it would affect business, you know. So. And then the cost of food. You discussed it on the show last week, but I wasn't around. Apparently, I've been in a bubble. I didn't understand how expensive things have become. But really, it's not even December yet. It is actually really expensive to eat, not even good food. Barely eat good food.
Yeah, I gave them an instruction in my house because I bought in bulk. I said, this thing, nobody should come and tell me they want to buy jack until January. We're going to manage this food November, December. No extra check.
So I need to have that conversation with my husband. I made 3 away some things this morning, and I'm wondering, see, anything that is remaining, just put it in a bowl, put it in the freezer. Anything that remains, we can let's be recycling and reconsuming. But as a country, we have it even fairly good. Many people don't have it that good. They can't afford to eat, and we need to do something.
Nima? How was your weekend?
I'm fine. This weekend. Okay, my apologies first to my friend who just came back from his PhD program and is now a doctor. My former boss, Abubakar Ekini. Immediately I graduated, there was a friend of mine just a year above me in school. He graduated with the first class, so everybody wanted to learn under him at law school. So that was my first boss, Abubakar Ekini. Dr. Abubakar Ekini now. He's a lecturer with LASU now.
Serious reading,
Jurisprudence and international law, I think. You know, that's one serious aspect of law. Congratulations, Sam. And tomorrow, my mom will complete her 4 months, 10 days Ida period.
Congratulations.
It's also clashing with the naming ceremony of my niece, our fresh baby in the family.
Wow.
So tomorrow, certainly, please don't call me. And don't complain I did not pick your calls.
Because it is family duty.
Family duty. It was family duty on Saturday. The crazy traffic on that, from the general hospital to past the Gondo bus stop. I think government should start to think of the kind of alternatives they gave them in Pensinema. They need an overhead bridge. I sat in that traffic from 5 minutes to 6 and left that traffic at 10 minutes past 5 minutes past 10 at night.
I pity for you because my parents can't even go out. Muriah, the entire Maltu area, they are locked in. If they go out, they can't come back home.
Because of the activities.
Because
on Sunday,
they can't go
it was
back
like
home.
that all through yesterday.
So they even say, don't come and visit us because our area, if you come, you cannot leave.
I wanted to give a shout out. I always see people send me stuff, and I always tell them to please send it to either Mariam or Nima or Visi, because there's a lady that when I was saying happy birthday to her mom. Her mom's birthday was on Friday, I think it was Thursday. I forgot, and I really want to. I'm trying to even find the message. I can't find it again. I mean, so please, I mean, I really, really wish happy birthday.
We understand.
And, we can do it anytime.
And they should forgive you.
Please forgive me. And the Ridland, the owner of Ridland, her birthday was on, I think, Friday or this weekend. So happy birthday to me.
Happy birthday to me.
Yes. Happy birthday
to me.
God
She's such a sweet person. I'm really passionate about children. Happy birthday to me, Adeshino.
Yes, many more years.
And her husband as well.
Yes.
Okay, so there's a lot to cover. Today is Monday.
Serious Monday.
Trump is trumping.
And Biden
is binding in. So we'll discuss that a bit later. But first, let's go to the front pages of the papers. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Welcome back. We're going to start with The Nation. Southwest leaders tighten security, reopen borders. No pact as government ASU shifts grounds. Ramfak alleges non-remittance of $21 billion to Federation accounts by NNPC. Bush greets President-elect Joe Biden. Lagos frees 253 #EndSARS protesters from custody. Okay, which story are we taking here? Which one of the papers?
I wanted to take the ASU because Honestly, I've been looking forward to them getting an agreement concerning the payments portal. But right now, there's still no agreement. They are both shifting grounds concerning what they want. But the Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, said that he has tried his best to meet ASU's need. And ASU is also saying that the University Transparency Accountability Solution salary payment proposal has been presented for verification. So they've also done their part. Can we also think about the students who've been at home for most of this year?
So from what I read, ASU, the federal government is saying that you asked for revitalization, right, and payments of super salaries. We are giving 20 billion towards revitalization. We're giving, I think, about 30 billion or so to payments of salaries. But ASU is insisting that that money cannot be for all the various unions under the education. That it has to be for ASU alone, that's for the lecturers alone. And they're saying they can't afford for everybody. So, and also for the UTAS. ASU is saying, we have given you the UTAS. Go and investigate. You wanted to go and check if it is verifiable. Go and verify and see.
We've submitted it, but they haven't given them the results. To get it back.
So that back and forth has been ongoing. And
what is important is that government is for the people. And this, government cannot be strong-headed or, persistent on what they have proposed.
Both sides
they must try to find a way to shift ground. I want to take the major headline once and for all, since the picture is there.
So everywhere.
So yes, most of the governors visiting Lagos to come and greet our governor on what has happened, and the meeting of all the traditional leaders in the southwest and that happened in Ikeja over the weekend. What they are proposing is that we should find a way to tighten security in the southwest, so that what happened after the NSAS about 2 weeks ago should never happen again. Surely what happened in Lagos, the looting and the burning, and also they were proposing the reopening of the borders. In reading the story, I wanted to see why.
Well, I can also connect that to the fact that, remember the presidential, there's a presidential team going around the country, led by, I think, Gambare, that is he's talking to all the various governors in the various regions. And it was at that meeting where they also proposed for that CONFA report must be implemented, because that would have solved and even it would have prevented the kind of looting and the violence that happened in the regions if we had actually had that regional security apparatus available.
Beyond regional, as they are seeking to protect, they say this must never happen again to the monarchs. They want to protect the interests of monarchs. Can we at the same time protect the citizens? The monarchs are supposed to protect the citizens and speak up for the rights of the citizens. If you have done that, they would not want to vandalize. They didn't vandalize churches because churches have been taking care of the citizens. So I feel that traditional leaders need to speak up.
Churches and hospitals were supposed to be the sacrosanct, safest place.
They vandalized. We can't discuss this. Let's move on. Let's review the papers. Daily Trust. 6 Nigerians convicted in UAE over Boko Haram funding. Teen thrown into fire in Ebonyi for stealing rice. Anxiety in Lagos over plan to resume #EndSARS protest today. Former Emir Sanusi's nephew abducted. APC explains delay in convention date. Which story do we have?
So major headline
in
the Daily Trust: 6 Nigerians convicted in the UAE. 2 of them have been sentenced to life imprisonment, while the others have about 10 years. What they were convicted for and tried for was funding Boko Haram. So these guys are claiming to be Bureau de Change agents abroad. But the UAE investigated their transactions over time and noticed that transactions of fundings of over $780,000 were transferred to some agents in Nigeria, and they found that it was Boko Haram. The family members are claiming that it was not a fair trial, that it was very quick. But the justice system there is not the same in Nigeria. It cannot last us 10 years. Like it lasts them 10 years as it lasts us here to convict ordinary somebody. I'm sure they've investigated over time, because we saw when that robbery happened in the UAE, the way Nigerians were picked up. So they probably did their investigation underground before they arrested them, unlike in Nigeria where you'll be arrested and questioned. So whatever was done tight, and I know they have an appeal system.
Once we take the EndSARS story, the anxiety in Lagos over planned EndSARS protest to resume. 3 weeks after the EndSARS protest was overtaken by violence and attack by hoodlums, the EndSARS protests are galvanizing to resume protest. The Lagos State Command has already vowed to resist any protest. I have plenty of opinion I cannot give, but they said that they are already securing Alausa under bridge of Awolowo to ensure that nobody gathers along that area, that Lagos is yet to recover from what happened after the previous attack, and so they should.
So let's go to Daily Sun. Quickly, I'll be very brief. This young boy, the 6-year-old boy that was attacked by 2 people, Paul Ifere Ama and Paul Nweke, caught a young boy stealing rice. And that crime alone is for hunger, because that's how I know it. They picked this young boy, bound him, tied his hands, put him on a dump site and set fire on that 6-year-old. And left him to, you know, after noticing how badly he was burnt, they left him in pain like that to die like that. He was rescued, the boy is alive, but he's in terrible conditions. I hope that these 2 people I've mentioned, their name, Paul Ifere Ama and Paul Nweke, are picked up. They did though, somewhere in a local government in Ebonyi State, Ohuaku local government in Ebonyi State. They caught this young boy in the market, bound him, tied him so you know he can't help himself, and then set him on fire. So please, the police should not pretend not to hear this.
I mean, sometimes you just wonder which are you in a country or in a jungle. Moving on to Daily Sun very quickly. Echoes of restructuring. Southwest Governors Monarchs want confab reports implemented. 2023, we've consulted 4 ex-state head of states, others for Southeast Presidential says NPP. Oyigbo, Southeast Governors Leaders meet Wike, and Southeast Business Court count losses from NSAS protests. Okay, we talked about the major headline already. Okay. So Ohanes Ndigbe is saying that, yes, go ahead.
You know, that they as appealing to the president to please restructure now, saying that, you know, the Igbos have been properly, sincerely marginalized, that, you know, as there's no country where a certain tribe presented the first head of state, or what was it that Nnamdi Azikiwe was at the time, and that they have not attained the height of presidency in that country, asking that, you know, we should try and make sure that that region is represented. They also say that they have consulted some head of states to support that and, you know, encouraging.
Moving on to Vanguard very quickly. Hashtag NSAS violence, how to secure Southwest averts recurrence. Why DSS ordered hashtag NSAS protesters' bank accounts frozen. Serap 365 Nigerians tell courts to reject suit on Twitter shutdown.
I'll take the
And 1 second. Palliatives Lagos, Kano, Abia on priority list for presidency. Yes, go ahead, Tokwe.
Please, I want to quickly take the story of NSAS. Protesters' accounts have been shut down. Yeah. And the accounts that have been funded, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria has frozen all those accounts. They've also put a ban on all the heads of the arrowheads of all the protests are not allowed to travel. So specifically, 2 people have created have started a case against the government. Modupe Adele has gotten legal service because she tried to travel out of the country and she wasn't allowed to leave the country. Basi Israel, a Port Harcourt-based pharmacist, has also gone to court because his account was frozen. The CBN has already said that they don't have the right to do this because the order came directly from the president in the interest of national security, that they should freeze those accounts.
Furthermore, in that same report, it says DSS gave the direct order to the CBN to actually freeze the accounts, and there were 19 of them that were frozen. And they had intelligence that some unidentified persons had infiltrated and wanted the protests to instigate the removal of the president. That was what DSS is claiming, and that was their reasons for
interest of national security. And we realize that some of the youth have pulled out of the sitting right now, that is the panel that's supposed to oversee it because of these issues.
Okay, let me quickly correct the story of the young boy. He's a 13-year-old boy, the Ebonyi State boy. But the 75 billion naira economic sustainable plan fund, the government is saying that 4 states, Lagos, Kano, Lagos, the FCT, Kano and Abia, sorry,
Lagos, Kano, Abia.
Okay, yes, will benefit more from the 75 billion because they have more beneficiaries. Like claiming that, these are states that have more population and more MSMEs. So that's how they will be basing the sharing formula for those states.
I think on that note, we can wrap up. Let's see if there's any other story we can take very quickly. I think that's what's all. So that's all we can take on Front Page Review. When we come back, we'll discuss our topics for today. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So the federal government is considering arming Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, operatives with firearms to curtail the excesses of road users in Nigeria, according to their chairman, Akinfolarin Mayowa. He said the 1992 Act of FRSC allowed the Corps to carry guns. Also, the implementation had become necessary to ensure laws were obeyed and allow the FRSC function effectively. Now, what are your general thoughts on this? You can please call us on 090-241-63440, or you can tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag your TVC so we can read your tweets. Right, so in view of what all that has happened in the last month or so, the fact that many of our security operatives have been harmed at the line of duty. So the point is, do you agree that it's time for them to start considering carrying arms? I mean, this is being considered, but do you think it makes sense at this time for FRSC? These are, if you don't know who FRSC, they are the Federal Road Safety Corps, and they're on the roads. They are the ones that they're on the major roads. They're on the major roads, not on the inner roads. They're on the major roads, and they try to ensure that your car and everything is top. Is top notch. I
don't agree with carrying firearms. I don't think we need to increase the number of firearms within our society. We already have enough. And usually when we deploy, before we make any move, when we carry out research and we go around the world, we should look for countries where every security apparatus carries firearms. It doesn't really reduce crime. It doesn't curb the number of killings that take place. And countries that have been able to really reduce crime rates are countries that do not emphasize on weapons, but emphasize on the psychology of the people and try to meet the needs of the people. I have seen unruly drivers try to hit FRSC officials. I have seen unruly drivers run through and, physically want to, harm these guys that are trying to protect us. So I understand that there should be need to secure the lives of our security operatives, but I am also a driver and I drive across state borders, and I see security operatives that want to stop a car and raise a gun. And for me, I have heart conditions. My heart, every time I have any panic issue, my heart just flips. And we can't, that's not the solution. That is not the way you treat human beings. You don't raise your gun and point at a vehicle to make the vehicle stop. What you should do is to create such high demand and regard for the corps, for the police, for all security apparatus, that the moment a security apparatus an official raises their hands, the vehicles will stop. It is not by guns. Guns will not make the person stop, because there are cases of misfiring of bullets. So I don't support putting more guns outside. If you realize what happened during the NSAS protest, most of those hoodlums went into the police stations, looted the police stations. What are they looting? Destroying evidence and taking firearms. And then now we have more guns in the hands of the wrong people, and the police are being... So this is not the solution. It will not solve the problem. Okay, so take care of your people.
I'll come to you, because the truth is that if we look at the both sides, yes, the safety of the citizens, also the safety of the security operatives. They have been killed a lot of times. Many of them have been disarmed even. Many of our police officers have been disarmed. So if you look at it, both arguments, you also see in the safety of their own person also. Don't you think maybe it should be considered? Let me come to Nima before I take this call from Abubakar. Wait, I think Abubakar's been waiting. Abubakar, are you still there? Oh, I'm sorry we lost that call. Yes, Nima.
So for me, the issue we should go to the root of the issue itself. The way this agency and their personnel have comported themselves over time, so that they lost the respect of the people. So if you face your work, people will eventually know that you're there for that duty and respect it over time. If, for instance, the way they've deployed technology in Lagos now was one of the methods that they used to pick up erring drivers. So when the person is escaping, the CCTV picks up their number plate, or you snap their number plate because they refuse to stop and you let them go, you pick them up, send them the fines that you should send to them, it will be better. I remember I never had this level of respect I have for the federal road safety until I met the former Lagos controller. Because he constantly met with the media. He was, every time I would hear him on the radio trying to talk about his agency and all of that. And with time, I learned to trust. So I even learned to use this same agency in resolving such an issue, because he used to talk about it. I took a plate number of somebody who hit my car and ran away once. I sent it to the agency. The car number, the person was picked out all the way in Kano. And, I was giving the name, numbers, and everything to use to reach this person. And I was threatening a court action, and I got resolution. But if they didn't do the proper PR, so that I would trust them, I probably would do the same thing. Every time this agency now stops me, I park carefully. Any a security agent that stops me, I slow down and park clearly. But you know the way they used to stop. So you're parked wrongly. You're even exposed to, you know, accidents.
Yes.
You know, they should, their personnel. And I've seen some of them, even with all the effort that they've made over the years. I see some. In fact, the one I mentioned on the coronavirus, you want to give me coronavirus now, with the carrier episode, in front of us here, their office here, in front of us at toll gate here. So we know that they have to up their game on training of their personnel. But gun carrying, with what we've experienced with it over the years, it should be a last resort. So they do deserve it, because they've had incidents.
How we suggest for them to, okay, so in view of all that's happened, how would we suggest, therefore, that they protect themselves, especially against those unruly elements that try to disobey the laws? How would you suggest
every
that?
time we try to protect from unruly elements, without dealing with the real issue of why those unruly elements became unruly, we end up, yes, we might kill a few of the unruly elements, which is not the solution, but we also end up killing a lot of innocent victims. Stray bullets and all of that happen because they're trying to shoot an armed robber and somebody else gets hurt. So I think that when we pick the fruits of the issue, and we don't deal with the root cause, we will still have holistic major problems. Yes. If we have unruly and disobedient drivers in the country, it starts with what are the qualities of drivers? How do they become drivers? What are the processes? Every driver is registered. We all get phone text messages every time our document is about to expire. So they have our details. Let them use technology and use psychology to deal with people.
Okay, let me take this call from Nasiru. Nasiru, are you there? Thanks for calling. What's going on with our phone lines today? Sorry,
so
Nasiru.
We've reached that point already. We have states that have done it for 4 years now. Lagos State has done it for 4 years. People still get messages now. Yeah. And the Federal Road Safety are aware of it. In fact, they worked in together. The VIO and the Federal Road Safety work together. So it's something that they can do. But there's something that they should emphasize on, which is, you know, retraining and punishing erring officials within their force. Because what got us to this point of distrust is that when I know that this officer is simply placing a crime on me, or when an officer is in charge of a particular road and is ignoring truck drivers, I don't know how we got here, but on my side of town, we see it. There's a obvious truck drivers or an association of truck drivers abusing traffic to get to tank farms, and you're not picking them, but any car behind them is being picked. You'll be wondering, are you people blind off at them at the same time? So you know that car would that person will stand and be disrespectful to that agency, or you stop a car, the person is obedient and parked, and you're taking extorting money from the next person.
All right, let me take this call from Bola. Bola, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Thanks for calling. Go ahead, you're live.
Yeah, good morning, your view.
Morning.
I would like to thank you for the work that you are doing.
Thank you.
But on the issue of the security of our nation, I think the narration should change. The narration should change. We should try as much as possible to encourage our security forces and also, talk less of demonizing them so that they don't get hated by the populace. So I think the narration should be that they should be encouraged to do their job. They should be loved by the citizens. The experience we have seen recently shows that without the security men out there, we are not all safe.
Yeah.
And in the event of crisis, the hoodlums are always hiding in one corner to overshadow the peaceful protesters. So I want to encourage we should encourage our security men. We should love them. We should show them love on the street. And if any one of them comes under threat, the citizens should also support them and protect them. Unfortunately, during the right crisis, while the police were being attacked, nobody raised a finger to protect them.
All right, thank you very much.
Sad. Let me just quickly talk about what the caller talked about. So some police stations that were attacked, as much as we felt it was wrong, we're arguing, there were some people, responsible Nigerians on the other side of the argument saying they deserve it, maybe because they suffered one form of injustice or the other. Imagine that your person is being arrested and you're asking just charge to court, but the police have not just accused the person falsely. They've created the crimes that, you know, you can't get out of except you pay. You know, so people lost trust. And one of the things that, you know, to support what he said, is not just the duty of the media to promote these agencies. The agency should also do proper work from within, not just PR, not just showing, you know, on the face of it, on the surface that, you know, you have upgraded your system. Show from within, from the kind of training, the mindset. So maybe it's the welfare of your officers that you need to boost, so that, you know, they have dignity in the kind of job that they've assigned for themselves. But boost it from within, so that the corruption that they themselves promote will stop, and people would benefit from the normal rights.
I like to take this conversation to the part of gathering evidence, because yes, firearms is one tool they use to protect themselves, but the mobile phone has recently become another tool where you record the situation. So you have a motorist who has refused to provide his documentation, paperwork, and you're recording the entire thing. And then, even though the person has been arrested, you have evidence. Now, my question is, do you think that should become legalized? Is that something that is tenable in court, where everybody should be allowed to record and have evidence?
The most undoubtable kind of evidence in court that the court would give priority is usually video evidence. So even your confessional statement must be recorded now. It's law now under our laws, our criminal laws.
Oh, great.
Yes, it's law. But the police will tell you that before you make that video, you need their permission.
Yeah.
So that's the problem.
We need that retraining. One of the things that I've been canvassing for on online media platform where I've been interviewed is that the first way to solve the issue of police brutality is to have body cams on all the police officers. We've seen how that worked in developed countries, and to allow anybody being stopped to record the process. If you have nothing, if the police really want to be transparent, let citizens record the entire interaction with any police officer, so that I have video evidence that you want to ask me to be bribed. If you want to ask for my documentation, let me record it and I'll answer you. That recording process is enough to restore trust. Now I must speak to our brothers and sisters, the fellow Nigerians that people call hoodlums and thugs that vandalized the police offices. I want to say that you might have lost trust in the policing system. You might have lost trust in the police, but don't lose your humanity. What happened during the crisis was that we lost our humanity. We were beating and killing police officers who were just doing their jobs. We were in the same vein, we also got hurt while doing our job. So let's not lose our humanity. In any way we're trying to carry out the justice, but beyond that, please, our law enforcement, make it legal for us to record the process. So record the entire process.
So it is legal.
It's not legal for me. If policeman stops me in my car, if they stop me in my car, I should take my phone and say, hello sir, Mr. Wale, what have I done?
We're not discussing the legality. What we're discussing is, will they allow you to do it? That's the issue. They don't allow you. So legally, it's actually telling us it's legal, but they will not permit you to record. They usually would stop you.
Me that I'm talking, I'm the one who got that experience. So there was a blockage for days, and I saw police extorting from that blockage. I was wondering why. So they wrote that you are blocked. That's the only community alternative to my own community. It was locked for days. So I stopped and saw them taking a car out, a truck that they had sent off. They allowed the truck turn back. I knew they had collected money. So I made a video. And 3 of them attacked my car that, why are you making a video? I said, no, this is my phone. I'm a private citizen. I know it's allowed by law for me to make a video. They said, no, for me to make that video, I needed their permission. And I knew it's because they had sinister motives. They needed to cover up. So you have every right to make a video. What I would love is that even if it's an oral account of you being stopped from making a video, should count against the police officer when you actually bring a case against them.
We have to go on a break
because
now.
You have every right to make one.
When we come back, we'll continue our conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Welcome back. So before the break, we're discussing the fact that the Chairman House Committee on Federal Road Safety was reminding us that the FRSC Act does allow the FRSC officials to carry arms, and they're proposing for it to be currently implemented. I would like to hear your thoughts on it. You can call us on 070-806-68 014. You can also tweet us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag your TVC so we can read your tweets. So it is in the act. They are allowed to carry arms, but they just haven't been carrying arms. And because of recent times and what's been happening, they are saying, listen, maybe it's time for us to revisit this act and allow these officials to begin to carry arms.
And we have told them that this is not the time to revisit it. The time is to revisit your people and ensure they have no reasons to be aggravated.
We should be looking forward instead of backwards. So,
yes.
Let's take a few tweets.
BB says, road safety officials have lost their lives because of unruly, ill-mannered drivers. Some Nigerians are impossible and refuse to obey simple laws. They have to protect themselves as they are Nigerians too. You cannot enforce laws by pampering people, if you are right. Nnamani says, as soon as road safety people start to behave kind, treat citizens like human beings, vehicle will stop without fear, not looking for problems when there is none, charging motorists for extra light in the day.
Okay. Ogumola Emmanuel says, I see no reason why the FRSC needs to carry guns. The police should look into technological ways where every car can be identified through radio frequency identification and CCTV. Right. Make sure phone numbers and accounts are linked to the plate numbers. And also ask, do they need to chase or block roads, which is causing more harm?
All right, let me take this. Our guest is here. The Chairman, House Committee on Federal Safety, Honorable Mayowa Akinfolari. Good morning, sir. Are you there?
How are you, my sister?
Yes, good to have you on the show.
Thank you, my sister.
So we're just discussing, based on what you told us, we read about that the FRSC Act does give the FRSC officials authority to carry arms. Why are you considering bringing them to implement this at this point?
Well, let me appreciate you for this wonderful opportunity given to me to express and explain myself.
Yes, sir.
We had a meeting, and in the said meeting, I made it abundantly clear when they were before us for budget defense, and they complained, they raised the issue of some of their men being kidnapped, killed, brutalized somehow. And I said, no responsive or responsible government will allow the life of its citizens to be endangered. And in that meeting, I made it clear too that the life of road safety men and the road users, both are very important. That it is an issue of two sides to a coin, whereby the road safety personnel, we have families, brothers, sisters, and the road users, they are citizens of this country. And as a matter of fact, all of us must collaborate to ensure that we ensure the safety of life and properties on our roads. And as a committee, we need to work in conjunction with the SDF office, Secretary to the Federal Government, so that at the end of the day, both sides will be protected. We will know that the people working, doing their legitimate duty or responsibility will be protected. The road users will be protected. And I only made reference to the Road Safety Establishment Act of 2007. And I said, considering the mood of Nigerians now, what is happening? We must form a small committee to see what can be done to ensure safety on our roads. There was never a time I made it, made it compulsory or as a matter of compulsion that road safety people should carry gun.
Right.
All I said, I was just trying to say we must sit down. Yes, we have a clause in the act, but we cannot go out now to say we want to implement it, right, considering what has been happening.
Okay.
But as a committee and a very reasonable and responsive committee for that matter, we need to form a small committee that will come together and brainstorm and to arrive at what can be done to ensure safety on our roads.
Thank you very much. Yes,
I wanted to ask him, I don't know if you've been listening to our conversation before we brought you in on the show, but we mentioned that we also, as citizens, care about the lives of FRSC and the entire security apparatus. We need them, and we also want them to be safe. While at the same time, we don't want our lives to be put at risk because of stray bullets or accidental discharge. which we've seen happen. So we thought and we advised that the government should look in line of technology as a means. Was technology brought up in the course of the conversation as a means to prevent more loss of life and as a means to carry out the job of FRSC and make it seamless and putting them less at risk? Wow.
Oops, we lost that call. Okay, so he clarified that he hadn't asked them to implement. There was a conversation they were having within a committee, because when this news gets out, you would think, oh, yeah, so it's always important that we bring in the person in charge to tell us exactly what happened, and he's told us by himself.
He only raised the existence of the law already, saying that implementation was...
But either way, I think we've really made a point that we prefer that there's reorientation, there's retraining, and it's not about using force. Yes, you are allowed to carry arms. We're not asking you to implement. We're just saying that there are other ways of ensuring that you do their job effectively. Do you want to take more for a runoff?
Yes, Yusuf Lare Busari says, it's unfortunate those calling for the use of firearms. Do you see how technology like speed camera detection and all of that in other countries, National Assembly is a problem, saying that they are not forward-thinking. TJ Busari says, federal safety carrying guns is not the solution, but leads to more casualties. For road offenders, their plate number and pick up and arrest them later if they refuse to call. Kenny Ridwan says, I think the government should create a 3-year plan, enlighten the force members and the society, and improve road measure and technology. If the force members are to be protected, then they should be given pistol, because this can cause chaos.
Right. Anyway, we have to wrap up on this, but I think it's also important to note that when we hear government say committee, we just think that nothing happens. Not even money. I just think that maybe government should begin to rethink how those things are done. Anytime every small thing happens, you want to switch on the light, do committee. You want to tap water, committee. So sometimes it's just implementation. Just get things done.
In one of the reports of the LCC, before the panel, they mentioned road traffic car trackers or something. Such technology already existing in Nigeria.
And, because somebody tweeted the same thing. Said it is cheaper to buy. It's cheaper to have radio frequency identification, tech body cam, CCTV monitoring system in states. It's cheaper than having firearms with bullets.
Brings us back then to what our governors are saying: restructuring. We see it will help so much with the regional security apparatus across the country. So federal government might not be able to afford it across the country, but if the various regions come together,
but these guys even say it's cheaper, because if you do guns, you spend more money than
that's what I'm saying. That
bullet, you have to spend money buying bullets. Apart from
what I'm saying is that it will be easier for the states to individually provide these things for the security officials.
Because it might be priority for Lagos State and not be priority for somewhere.
It's no concern.
That's all we can take on this matter. When we come back, we try to understand how we can learn some lessons from the Trump-Biden campaign, and now it's going to be Biden-Harris ticket. They're now the president-elect of the United States. So let us see what kind of lessons have we learned from this entire experience. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So over the weekend, the United States of America voted in Joe Biden as the 46th American president. Many are jubilating, even in Nigeria. So we're asking, what does this win in the U.S. mean for our own democracy? What lessons can we learn from this entire electoral process that happened in the U.S.? Joining us on the show now is a member of Hillary Clinton campaign organization for 2016 election, Bar Curtis Adigba. Welcome to the show. Barrister.
Yeah,
welcome to the show.
Let me make a quick correction. Thank you.
Yes.
I wasn't actually a member. I was on the margin of that campaign as a surrogate.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah. Welcome to the show, though.
Thank you for having me.
You can call us on 090-241-63440, and you can also tweet us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag your BTVC so we can read tweets. Now, so over the weekend, everyone was waiting for the big announcement. It came on Saturday morning, and there's a lot of celebration out there. And one of the things that struck us is the fact that there was about 66% turnout of voters across the country. Yeah. If we're talking about deriving lessons, in our own elections, we have between 30 to 35% of voter turnout. What can we begin to do to get more Nigerians to come and participate in elections?
Okay. First and foremost, turnout in election is the best test of legitimacy for the outcome of every election. America also had problem of turnout in previous elections. In 2000, it was just 537 votes in Florida that determined the outcome of that election between Al Gore and Trump. And after that, in 2002, a law known as Bush and Al Gore, yeah. In 2002, there was a law passed called Help America Vote Act, which was an attempt to simplify voting for most Americans. And even before then, we had the Voting Rights Act of 1965, passed by Lyndon Johnson, which again reaffirmed the 15th Amendment that happened in 1870 to encourage and allow black people to vote. And then we had the 19th Amendment that allowed women for the first time to vote in America. So you see effort towards turning out people to vote, because that's what democracy is all about. Now, what can we do in our country? A lot of people are not interested in the political process. And like you said, 30, 34, sometimes. In 2018 midterm election in the US, they recorded 50.3% because of the enthusiasm of both parties. Of course, you can trace that to the personality of President Trump. Very divisive, and so he tends to invoke this passion in those who support him and those who does not support him. Right. They want to come out and outdo themselves.
Yeah.
So,
right. But bringing it home.
Okay.
Yes.
You know, in bringing it home, because I was realizing that I was having anxiety more than the people that were living in America. So I stopped even watching all the international news because it was stretching. But when I finally now started watching the analysis after they declared somebody who had already been declared a winner, I realized where we could draw a few lessons within Nigeria, mainly going back to the number of voter registration. And because it starts with registration and the ease of registration. I have mentioned in the last election that I could not vote because I couldn't get my PVC. And I went to the states, local governments in Kusofe. There were massive crowd. We were pushing and everybody was, and I spent the entire day there and I couldn't still get my card because they couldn't find mine. Okay, what's the price of reprinting? I filled the form and they said they would send a text message till now. So the process of registering and getting our PVCs have been very complicated. What do you think can be done on a legal perspective to create the framework to ease this?
Okay, first and foremost, we need to devolve the system of election in Nigeria, like they have in the United States. What you have in the United States is not one election, 50 elections to elect a president. And these elections are conducted at the county level by county clerks and leaders, who then transmit the results after declaring them to the Secretary of State at the state level.
Not INEC.
Not INEC. And that's why you don't hear a central electoral body in America call out election and say, this is the result we have. What you have is a collation by networks having data analysts in their inner rooms, looking at the data, the demographics, and the returns. And then they can make projection at a certain point in time when they are satisfied that outstanding votes will not change the outcome. Now, the Federal Electoral Commission, which you have in America, does not conduct election. All it does is to monitor how candidates raise their funds, how they spend those funds, and how they make the returns to the body.
Okay.
So what you have is you have different electoral bodies in different states. Florida, for instance, has 29 precincts with 29 different electoral systems.
Wow.
So they conduct and they send the results. So when you hear about people saying, no, the election is rigged, it's almost impossible.
Almost impossible.
Because, and in some of these states, you have both Republican and Democrats working. The governor could be Republican, the Secretary of State could be Republican. Okay, so because these positions are elected positions, not appointed.
So some things that would, personally, I don't find interesting anything foreign. Because we have our local, I believe every region has their problems and problems are local. Nigeria is different from the US. But we've seen now with this Trump campaign that it's possible for anybody to be human, anybody to be, to fall to error. Trump, not only did he try to buy votes towards the end, beginning of elections by giving people door-to-door food and asking for votes. We saw the videos. he also refused to accept. You tried to call off the election halfway through when he saw that the figures were not favoring him, saying that, you know, and he went to court. He became an African, you know, at that point in time. So anybody is fallible. Anybody is fallible. So, you know, and refuse to concede.
So the system must be strong.
Before I come to your point, let me just speak to what she said. Why is it so difficult to get people to register here? It's down to the provisions of the Electoral Act. We have just a small window of opportunity for people to register, even to campaign. So electorates don't even know the people they are voting for. They don't know what they stand for. Because you cannot start campaigning until a certain period to election in Nigeria. Now, unlike in the United States and some other African countries, you can register the day of election and vote. There are states that have that. Yeah, you can just walk in, register and vote. Registration is a continuous process.
Yeah, but they have proper biodata systems.
Yes, so that's one. Then back to your point, the fact is that human beings are the same. The differences that we see is in the strength of their institutions and the cultural markers. This behavior is acceptable in this kind of society. But Trump from day one has shown that he's prepared to destroy all norms and destroy all the guardrails of democracy. And of course, there are people in America who believes him, who thinks like him. He garnered 70 million.
People.
Yes.
That's a lot of people.
Even in the height of the pandemic, that medical experts were saying, don't come out. You saw his rallies.
They were partying.
Thousands of people coming there not wearing masks because they hang on every word that Trump speaks.
Cult followers.
Let me go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue because there are other angles of the mail-in votes. We'll see if that's been possible in Nigeria. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So before we go into the issue of mail-in votes, I'd like you to explain this Electoral College for Nigerians. Maybe we can even learn from it because for a candidate to win in Nigeria, he needs to have the most popular votes and has 25% of two-thirds across the country. But as we saw in Hillary 2016, it's not who has the most popular votes that that wins it. How does the Electoral College system work, and do you think it's something we can implement or adopt in the Nigerian system?
We can, but this is how it works. There are 538 electoral votes. And how did you get to the 538 votes? The House of Representatives in America is 445. You add 100 senators to that, you have 435, plus 100 senators, 535. And then 3 representatives from District of Columbia, which is Washington, 538. Now, you need to score 270 votes to win the election. For that purpose, states are allocated specific number of electoral votes, depending on their size.
They are allocated?
Yes, depending on their population. The state with the highest electoral college vote in America is California, 55, followed by Texas, 38. And then you have New York, 29, Florida, 29. You have Illinois, 20. And then you come to Ohio, 18, and then Michigan, 16, Wisconsin, 10, Maryland, 10, New Jersey, 14. Now, then you have a group of states, North Dakota, South Dakota, 3, Maine, 3, 4, Nebraska, and all of them.
Population.
Yes, both on population. Now, but then you have categories of states that are reliable blue voters, democratic voters. So if you're a Democrat, you are sure that you're going to win California, you're going to win New York, 29, 55, Illinois, 20, and all those ones. If you're a Republican, traditionally, you know you're going to win Texas. Florida is not given because Florida is a purple state. Purple in the sense that they vote Republican, so that's why they're called swing states.
So those states vote on the line of ideology.
Or on ideology and whatever their interest is at a particular point in time. Now, if you're a Republican, you must win Florida. Because no Republican has won the presidency since 1924 without winning Florida. So it is when these states return their votes, even if you won a state by 1 vote, you take the entire electoral vote, except for 2 states in America, Maine and Nebraska. They share their own according to the number of votes garnered by the candidate.
So is this something we can adopt? I'd like you to, let's bring it home so that Nigerians don't get really lost.
You know what? I think everything is possible. It depends on how far we want to move in,
but do you think
in progressing.
Since we have 2/3, do we need it when we have 2/3?
I think 2/3 is good enough. It's reflective. It's a good starting point. If we will try to work, you see, progress is incremental. You build and keep building, and then you're moving forward. I think what we have right now, because of our diversity, that you must have a simple majority, and then you have to win in 2/3 of states. Is good.
Okay.
So I want to go to...
Have a call, talk. Okay. Good morning. Are you there? Thanks for calling.
Yeah, good morning.
Go ahead, you're live. Morning.
Yeah. I actually, I'm not commenting on the topic today. That was a topic you posted last week. Just adoption. I wouldn't know if you can still recall.
Okay, Friday.
Hello?
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, it's your view. Let it
I just want to say that there is a law criminalizing an adoption child getting married to a natural child of the parent that adopted that particular child. So there is a law criminalizing that particular situation.
All right. Thank you very much,
sir. It is not encouraged.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that with us. Right,
so I wanted to ask concerning how can we increase, because aside from these issues, we also have major case of voters apathy. And we have about 30 to 35% of card-carrying people with PVC voting.
Turning out to vote, yeah.
Yes. So how can we raise the awareness of Nigerians to the responsibility that we all have, civic responsibility to vote our chosen leaders?
And I'd like to link that up with the mailing vote. Can we actually increase voter participation with mailing, and can we get Nigerians and the diaspora to participate? Do you think it's a good idea to get them to participate?
Yeah, so there are three ways of voting in America. You can vote by sending your mail, you can vote by physically going there to vote, and you can be an absentee voter. Absentee voter also send it by mail, because if you're a military man serving somewhere,